There's a part of me that wants to hide this video in the delete file bin, and then there's a part of me that wants to put it up because, it would be good for laughs, right? And we all need to laugh, right? Oh my gosh. I just need you to remember 2013, 6 years ago. It's actually very appropriate that this is going to be one of the last videos in this series. And we are going to be talking about what's coming up next and what is going on next with the Betancourts. Yes, 2013. Oh my gosh. Literally. Watch.
Hi, welcome to the YouTube channel ThumperLane Homestead. And if you saw how I had the camera set up on a couple cases of ball canning jars and some cookbooks, you'd probably laugh right now. But I realized a certain piece to the camera, the tripod, that puts it all together and holds it all nice and tight happens to be upstairs in a shed, and it's in the 20s right now, and I'm still somewhat of a city girl. I'm not going up there to find it, so we're just going to have to deal with it as it is, which is perfectly fine, right? It's all good. We're just friends sitting here at the table talking about a book. I wanted to go over a review, a quick review, but one that I really wouldn't have time to type on. Every once in a while you run across a book and you just think to yourself, you know, this is fabulous. And it's one of my top 10 now. Out of all the books that I have, which are hundreds, and quite a few cookbooks, I only have a certain few that I go to. I stick them on a certain part of the shelf. They're easy to get to, prime shelf location on the bookcase. And this is now one of them. It's the Prepared Family Cookbook by Enola Gray. And it's unlike any book that I would ever own because, frankly, it doesn't have any pictures. And if you knew me, you would know that I am a color picture person. I like to know what I'm making, what it's supposed to look like. But this cookbook, you don't need that. First off, she has a homestead. She's on 30 acres. And she talks to you like you're a real person. She talks to you like you're her friend sitting right next to her, having a cup of tea with her and her husband, like they do every day at 4 o'clock. And she tells you what she did and how things were when she first started. And she lives off the grid. She tells you the mistakes that they made, opens up about some personal stuff, but through the whole thing, she puts her recipes in it. So let's just go over wood cook stoves. I never knew how to cook on a wood cook stove. And she has her chapter, she has the beginning of the chapter, and she'll go through how she learned how to do things, tips on how to turn things so that they don't burn, and guides to temperature, how she tests the temperature, and making bread, how to get it not to burn on the bottom or not to burn on the top or on the sides, and how to keep turning it, how to tell, like I said, what the temperature is by how long you hold your hand in. Things that I wouldn't know how to do. And if you're wanting to learn, if you're wanting to live on a quieter, more self-sufficient life, then this is absolutely a must of a cookbook. It goes through the anatomy of a wood cook stove, and this is just one chapter. It goes, and then it starts her recipes. It goes through their energy and how they get their energy, what they did, the different ways, the wind, the solar, the generators that they went through, all of that. And she pretty much shares her love-hate relationship for generators, which if any woman that's ever had to go out in the middle of the night in a storm to start the generator and having to go through your brain, because I'm sorry, my brain is just not wired this way. It is wired to put 3/4 of a cup of flour with 1/4 of a cup of sugar in a bowl and mix it all up and make a cookie batter. It's not made to go out to a shed, pull out a generator, I think it's like you click the gray button once, you push the black knob twice, you push the red button once, and then you pull this string thing, and all of a sudden this generator is supposed to magically start. I can do it now, but I do have written instructions because I do need them. So I laughed at that section that she had. She also has a whole section on equivalents. I have a scale, so I pretty much weigh. I bake with weights a lot, as opposed to baking with the 3 cups or the 2 cups. So I have a scale a lot of times. She buys a lot in bulk. So when it says to use a 16-ounce package of beans, she's not going to have a 16-ounce package of beans. She's going to have a 55-gallon drum of beans. So she took and actually converted what 16 pounds would be in cup size, which I think is actually really great for somebody that needs that. But what I really liked about her recipes, she has a recipe on grape nuts and cream of wheat and Scotch eggs and biscuits and gravy. We want that roll recipe. Oh, today I canned cabbage, and she had a recipe on canning cabbage. She had a recipe on souped chicken stock, which I used for the turkeys. She has a butchering chart. It's just everything. It's everything that she would have had that she's needed to use. All of her recipes, in fact, she said at the beginning of the book, these are all of her recipes, or the ones that she could find to put in this book for her daughters. And this is what I love about it. For Thanksgiving, I was in the middle of reading the book. You can tell I was past page 100, because on page 100 are her sweet roll dough. It's her go-to rolls. And I won't give you the recipe because you got to buy the book to get the recipe. But this is the recipe that my mother used for all of our dinner rolls, as well as the cinnamon rolls that we eagerly anticipated every Christmas morning. This is my tried and true go-to recipe for good old-fashioned dinner rolls, and they are fabulous. They're so good my husband was eating the dough before it could even be baked. But what I like about the recipes is when there's a place for a substitute, she puts it in there. So she has in here milk, but you could or use water, sugar or honey, butter or shortening, eggs, or 2 tablespoons of egg powder and 6 tablespoons of water to get the equivalent of the eggs that it calls for, or flour, or whole hard wheat flour. And what that says to me is when I'm out here and I run out of something, I can make her recipe and I can substitute and still get the same basic recipe. And it's all throughout the book. This recipe calls for honey or sugar. So wherever she has the main ingredient next to it in bold parentheses, she'll have the substitutable ingredient for it. So for us that live out in the middle of nowhere, or we're trying to be more self-sufficient and we're not trying to go to the grocery store every week, because quite frankly that's a little over an hour's drive for me. So for those of us that are trying to not go to the grocery store as much, trying to keep our driving down, needing to stay on the land a little bit longer because we have things we need to do, or chickens we need to take care of, or things we need to build, but we still want to cook dinner, this is fabulous. Because not only can I know that I can open it up, make the recipe, but if I run out of something, which I hope I don't ever do, I have a alternative. In this one, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ingredients that have alternatives to them, which is priceless. And also, you'll notice in the book, I have writing. Whenever I make something, and I have people over or my husband is here, I have the recipe book out and I have them write. I don't even look at it. I just hand them a pen and the recipe and I said, write what you thought of it, be honest. And my mother wrote very, very good, really big and soft. My father wrote great rolls, best ever. And my husband wrote, love them, especially as cinnamon rolls. Because the dough made so much and we made a big pan for Thanksgiving, and we had some left over, so I rolled them out and made cinnamon rolls with them. And she's right, they are the best ever cinnamon rolls. So that's my review. The recipes are great. They have alternatives in them, which is fabulous for those of us that don't go places. But the recipes are also much different than you would think. They have the graham crackers, which I'll probably try. She has a section on canning food, and which is great. But you do have to consider, she doesn't talk to you like you've never cooked or canned before. She talks to you like you've done it before and you have the basics. So if you're well, she also tells you how to can bacon. Yay! Everything's better with bacon, isn't it? Ha! And bunny sausage. I cannot find the recipe, but venison jerky. But anyways, can't find the recipe for the bunny sausage, but she does have bunny sausage in here, which we thought was pretty cool. But when she talks about, like, here's a recipe that she has, and I know you can't read it because you need to buy the book, if you want the book. But she doesn't tell you when you're packing it, it's baked beans. And any canner knows that when you take a jar, like I canned cabbage today, and when you take the jar, you always run something around the edge. When it's not just a liquid that you're putting in, you run it around the edge and you get the air bubbles out. She doesn't tell you that kind of menial stuff because we just know it. And I've gone through some cookbooks where I just want the recipe because I know how to do the other stuff, and I'm tired of every recipe coming with a 2-inch line of basic instructions on every single recipe, where at the beginning of the book, just tell me the basic instructions. And here she thinks she tells you basically how to do it, to be very, very careful when you're pressure canning. There are a lot of rules for pressure canning, safety rules that you have to keep in mind of doing. But her recipes are for people that already know the basics, and they're to take you the step further. And they're so easy, and they're so good. The baked beans, I probably definitely will be trying. Yesterday I made, well, for the last, since Thanksgiving, this is the Tuesday of Thanksgiving, but since Thanksgiving I've made 14 quarts of stock, turkey stock. We bought a huge turkey, and then I made 7 quarts of turkey soup, the basic turkey soup stock, and then I made the cabbage. I went up, it's supposed to be really cold in the 20s, so I went up and I got all of the cabbage that we had left in the garden that was growing and ready, and canned up that. It's 4 little pints. I mean, it's not a ton, but she has a recipe in here that I'm dying to look at, and it's all about meat with cabbage, a meat and cabbage soup, I believe it is. So I'll be making that one probably later on. But maple syrup, I mean, mayonnaise, how to make mayonnaise, and potato fillings, and Mexican refried beans. It's basically all the stuff that you find in the grocery store that you can buy in the can. She's teaching you how to make it on your own. So you can have the basic ingredients at home, and you can put it all together when you need what you need. Now here, let me real quick go over the categories that she has, because it's not just recipes for food. She has the food storage and preparedness, her hospitality, the wood cooking stove. Then she has recipes all the way down to canning food and preserving, going out in the wild and getting stuff in the wild. Then miscellaneous recipes like cough drops and cough syrup and medicine stuff that you can make at home. And it's amazing what you can make at home. Homestead hygiene and cleaning, deodorants, stuff like that. And then the dairy, and I have to tell you, she makes me want to get a milking cow. And I'm not. I'm not. And honey, I don't want a milking cow, but thank you. Because every time I say I want something, I end up getting it. And then off-grid living, and basically what it's like. She's been there for 14 years, and what it's like. And I know I talk really, really fast, but I slowed down for you guys. So in a nutshell, the book is fabulous. We definitely, when we get rabbits, we'll try the bunny sausage. Husband was oohing and eyeing over that one. And I definitely am going to be trying more of these. The soups just sounded great. And the cookies, the pies, the cakes, the candies, the yeast breads. And it's all from scratch. It's not open up a can of this and add to it. You're making everything from scratch. And I think that's what I like the best about the whole thing. Thank you for listening. I'm sorry about the lighting and the weird little camera, and I hope it didn't shake a lot. But you guys have a great day, and go do something fun. We'll talk to you soon.
First, what was up with the hair? Now, see? The hair. Second, that camera has got to go. I know right where it is. It's right back there. And I am going to be picking it up and putting it in the donation bin because it's a great camera, but it does not need to be recording anybody anymore. That thing has a lisp on it, and it makes it sound like I did not have all the years of speech therapy that I had. The book is actually really good. It's definitely for somebody that wants to be on the prepper, self-sufficient lifestyle, off-grid, as much off-grid as possible. I do still oddly want to make grape nuts. It sounds like fun. Yeah. Anyways, you guys have a great day. Like, subscribe, smash that notification bell 2020 style. And comment below on the crazy thoughts you had while you were listening to that. Please, I hope you did not watch it. I hope you did not watch it. Oh, gosh, seriously. Yeah, I shouldn't put it up. I really shouldn't. I probably will. Yeah, I probably will.